Blow my mind, blow my mind, blow my mind, blow my... I found a potion for fixing passion. Go tell your homegirls, what's their reaction? You got a little, you could use much more. Pop up a passion! Welcome to Sky Studios. This is our masterclass, Targeted Transmissions. I'm Giles Alderson. I'm head of production at Transmission Productions. Got a jam-packed couple of hours for you with speakers including Matt Buckle, the MD at Transmission, Steve Wild, head of sales at Sky, and Lee Klimpson, who's the production director at Transmission. So without further ado, let's begin. Our first speaker, he's been living in the world of TV advertising, creative strategy and production for almost 20 years and here to speak about relevancy in creativity. Let's give it up. Give a very warm welcome to Transmission Managing Director, Matt Buckle.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. What I wanted to chat through with you is a bit of a personal story as to why I do what I do, and kind of understand the motivations about what making relevant advertising actually means and what it means to ultimately your bottom line. That's why people advertise, is to increase the bottom line. Whether that's through brand building over time or whether that's through more direct response. It's all about building that bottom line, but we want to do that in the most relevant way possible. And it goes back to one of my oldest and dearest friends who once said to me, the immortal line, "I don't agree with what you do." So if we think about advertising and why advertising itself has got a bad reputation, as to, people don't like being sold to. People don't like being told things when they haven't been asked about that product. And that's where irrelevant advertising comes in. If you're at the tender age of 24, I don't necessarily want to hear about over 50s holidays. So that's irrelevant to me. So that advertising is getting in the way of my enjoyment of a program. So how do I make sure that I'm not the annoying one? I'm not the one that someone says, I don't agree with what you do because all you're doing is interrupting me in my chosen consumption of content. It's just getting in the way. So what we need to do is make advertising good by making good advertising. Because what we want to do is I want to be proud of what I'm doing, and I want to give people that message of I want to enroll in this course, or I want to buy these windows or whatever I need. I need that because it's relevant to me. And the most powerful advertising is the most relevant advertising. Ideally, you just want to advertise to that one person that's going to buy from you. So by making advertising good, by making good advertising, is what I mean by that is good advertising is that one that helps you along your journey. It isn't the one that gets in the way and interrupts your enjoyment of the program or interrupts your flow. It's that, oh, great, I was in the market for a new vacuum cleaner and Shark have just sent me a message saying I get 10% off. Isn't that amazing? That's what I need. Or even before that, my house is really dusty. Oh, I've heard about these new Roomba vacuum cleaners. Aren't they great? So you've got that relevancy off the bat, and you can only get that relevancy by understanding what that customer journey is. And I do annoy the people that I work with by frequently saying, I am not a salmon. I don't like to swim upstream. That's where a lot of irrelevancy is. I could swim upstream and just shout what I want to say from the rooftops. That it's amazing that you can get this fresh salmon from your local fishmongers. If I'm talking to a room full of vegans, they're not going to be interested in where they can get fresh salmon from. So what I need to do is understand, in order to make good advertising, understand what my audience want to hear and what they need from my product and where they are. So I need to deliver the right message to the right people at the right time. That's what makes it relevant. And I can only really understand that if I do my favourite thing of an upside down triangle. The upside down triangle, based on the AIDA model, which I'm all very familiar with, around attention, interest, desire, and action. So really what we're doing here is looking at what are those triggers to push people along to the next stage in their journey. How do I make my messaging relevant to push those people onto the next stage? How do I encourage their journey, their steps along the journey, rather than trying to push them upstream? And if we want to once we've grabbed people's attention, we want them to be familiar with the brand. We want them to feel familiar with the advertiser, and that once they feel comfortable, they might lean in a bit more and show a bit more interest. In that case, we want to show how relevant we are, and we want to say that we understand a bit more about you. Yes, this is the right product for you. This is the right people for you. This is the right home for you, which then brings down to desire, and then we can really hammer home that trust that, yes, these are the right people you want to talk to. These are the people that you want to do business with. So we're taking something that consumers want to do. I want to find out about where to buy nice fresh fish. And all I'm doing is delivering the right message at the right time to just nudge them on to the next level with my product as opposed to my competitor's product. And the way that we break that down is often referring to that as hero, hub, and hygiene content. And a lot of what we'll be talking about with Steve later is really about that hero and hub. We know a bit more about the audience. We know a bit more about what they want. And we're really just hooking them in with hero content. That's the advertising with a cape that goes out there with an amazing superpower and pulls people into your ecosphere, pulls people into starting to lean towards your brand. And that's really where TV advertising really helps. And the more targeted and the more relevant you can be in there, that's all about bringing that back to what the customer wants and the journey that they are already leaning towards. And we're just giving them that little nudge rather than being salmon and trying to push them upstream. Because ultimately what we want to do is make advertising good by making good advertising. And that's what we're going to talk about today. That's what Steve's going to run through. That's what Lee's going to chat about. And that's what our panel discussion is going to be about later, is about how we can use relevancy and consumer understanding to make sure that we are delivering the right message to the right people at the right time. Thank you very much. I will now pass you on to Steve.
Good morning. Thanks, Matt. And it's great to be here with you guys. Welcome to Sky. And to those that are joining on a webinar, I believe this is going to go out at some point as filmed content. So that'll be great. Great to do this transmission event and to join with you. I'm Steve Wild, Head of Sales in our local and development section of Sky Media. I've got quite a few slides, but I'm not going to dwell on them. I'm happy to take questions at any point at the end as well. So welcome to Sky. Targeted Transmissions is the title, which is very convenient on the basis of what Matt's just said. That's all about what we do in a way that perhaps some of you don't know, you're not aware. Certainly the audience that's delivered advertising isn't aware they're seeing something that everybody else is seeing. Seeing something that isn't the same as everybody else is seeing. But what they are aware of is that it's more relevant, as Matt says. So that's the key. So just a few slides. Why are we here? A little bit about Sky, a bit about our strategy and positioning, so you understand where we are in the market. Sky is not just TV, but it is great content across all platforms. And then about the innovative media solutions that we have, which is very focused on addressable media, which in our context is called AdSmart. And then finally, a bit of insight and measurement, because all the best media comes with some knowledge of how it worked. So the bigger picture with Sky, we're with Sky Media. Sasha and myself work within Sky Media, 400 plus people dealing with agencies, clients of all sorts right across the country and globally. What we bring is amazing content and some really valuable insight into how to deliver audiences. And our mission is to we believe in better. We want to do more for you, for your businesses, for you as an agency, to help you drive the bottom line, as Matt said. The power of Sky is very much around the platforms that we have. We don't just deliver content onto TVs anymore. We've got loads of content that is on TV, but also we deliver across any platform, any device that anybody wants to consume good content on. That might be a mobile, it might be my laptop on the train on the way in when I was stuck coming out of Waterloo earlier. It doesn't matter where people are watching the content. As long as we know that they're watching the content, we can serve ads that are relevant to those audiences. Sky, as well as the kind of media platforms and the content that we deliver, we've got lots of products in the market. We're second now in the UK in terms of mobile data delivery. So lots of people pay us for TV, for broadband, for mobile devices and mobile data solutions. We also have a home insurance product which has smart doorbells that comes with it. So Sky is kind of very much about delivering good quality in the products and the services that we have, and building and engendering trust with the audience and the clients that we have as well. Content is key. From an advertiser point of view, without good content, without audiences that watch good content, there's not much to offer. We've got bucket loads of that. And the great thing is that we've just committed £3 billion to develop Sky Studios in Elstree. So you'll see the studios today if you stay for the tour here. But the bigger studios now, there's 13 sound stages where we're filming programs, series, films, pretty much 24/7. It's about the size of Heathrow Terminal 5. It's out in Elstree. And this shows the commitment that we have, and Comcast, who own us in the States, have to making great content. It's all about great content. 5 years ago, before COVID, people were saying people aren't going to watch telly anymore. That's not true. COVID changed that quite significantly. But to be honest, if there's good content, people will watch it. But it doesn't matter what device they watch it on. This is about us creating good content and holding audiences. You've come into Sky today and you've seen some of the impressive buildings that we have here. We've been carbon neutral since 2006. So as a media company, if that comes onto your agenda from a board point of view, kind of ESG is quite a big conversation nowadays. You can be very confident that the Sky can tick the box in terms of carbon neutral. And we're going to be net zero by 2030. We've got lots of opportunities to talk to audiences about it and raise the agenda. We've got a business transformation which is going through, which is helping us get to that target. And we're really trying to change people's behaviour. In terms of Sky, though, we believe in better. That's better content, better services, better products for our consumers and our clients. And from your point of view, better ability to reach those audiences. So a strong relationship hopefully starts here today. And it's about delivering better outcomes. And that relationship gets stronger and we deliver further better outcomes. This is not about selling you a dream. This is about going on a journey. So the strategy, excuse me, the strategy and positioning of Sky. There's a lot of talk in the marketplace at the moment about other TV players, Netflix, Amazon, Disney, Apple. They're great. They've got some great content. What they have is an ability to reach a certain audience, and that audience level, that reach is still significantly behind what Sky can deliver. Sky is ahead of ITV and Channel 4. We represent Channel 5 now, which is consistently bigger than Channel 4. And it's never been that case until last year for the 20 years since it was launched. The thing about the streaming businesses is they've got lots of audience, but most people still don't actually pay the cheaper subscription to come with ads. So there's not a lot of commercial audience for you to deliver at the moment. So the real ability to target audiences around proper content is still on TV, whether that's live TV, recorded TV, video on demand. But also people watch lots of content online. There are some big video sharing businesses, YouTube, etc. They have still got an ability which is still lower than our total reach for most audiences. But the great thing is that Sky are fairly agnostic about how we deliver our content and therefore deliver the audiences to you as an advertiser. because our YouTube channel and our website and our apps are available to anybody. You don't have to be a Sky subscriber. So YouTube and TikTok are huge platforms for us to deliver content and deliver you audiences. So don't just think of Sky as TV, think of it as great content across whatever platform. We've got the ability across all the platforms. So that's linear TV, normal scheduled TV, video on demand, as well as digital and social, to reach 48 million adults every month. Okay, so that's a huge number, big scale. But what we now know is that over time, people are moving to change their viewing behaviour. People aren't watching as much as live TV as they used to. But of course, people will always watch news and sport, and those are the key heritage for Sky anyway. But they'll watch video on demand when they choose to watch what they want to watch on whatever device they want to watch. What we know is we've got the ability to reach those audiences across different platforms. So you kind of trust us to be able to bring to you the best media solution to reach them. In terms of live TV, we represent Channel 5. As I said, they've had a really big uplift in their audiences in the last 2 years. They now have over 300 programmes that deliver 1 million viewers every time. That's quite significant nowadays. Gone are the days, unless there's a big England match, then gone are the days where you can reach 10 million people with one spot on linear TV anymore. You might get 3 to 4 million watching Coronation Street on ITV. I'm here to say that there are a lot more channels that can deliver very significant audiences, Channel 5 being one. We've had a record-breaking year as Sky. We now deliver 38% of all impressions, so against ITV, Channel 4 and Sky. We increased our level of impressions in a market that is slightly declining. So that's good news for us. And we work with a lot more partners. So we're working with TNT, which was BT Sport. We're working with Eurosport and many other channels as partners. So I mentioned the kind of audience sizes. The first Premier League match of this season was the biggest first match ever, and it delivered 2.2 million viewers. The match between Liverpool and Man United 2 weeks ago delivered 4.2 million viewers. Okay, phenomenal audience sizes to be able to reach. And if it's a key audience to you, we can deliver advertising to it in many different ways across any platform. But it's not just about football. It's not just about sport. It's not just about male sport. We've invested a huge amount of money in female sport as well. We delivered into tennis. We've got a new tennis channel. We delivered into boxing, female football. And those audiences delivered us 28% extra reach to see key significant audiences in the last year. I mentioned Channel 5 already, committed to drama and all sorts of documentary series that are really resonating with audiences, as well as Channel 5 News. So the thing is, we can reach valuable audiences for any advertiser, however you'd like to determine your audience, and you can be as specific as you like. And I'll come on to tell you now in the kind of an innovative media solutions section how we can target audiences. So we deliver audiences across live, as I said, on demand, YouTube, our YouTube channels, our digital products, and Sky Go when you're on the go wanting to watch content that's live or recorded, or highlights of programming if you choose as you wish, wherever you want. It's about finding the ability to engage with an audience. It's about us helping you deliver reach to a relevant audience on scale and then delivering value. And value means getting results. It means evidencing that the campaign that you've just run is actually affecting an audience so that they are ideally going through that funnel that Matt described earlier, responding to your advertising, maybe going to the website and ultimately going down that funnel to become a potential customer. So we believe in better. We also believe that TV isn't just about brand building. It is significantly the best platform to build a brand, but it's about dovetailing that at the same time with getting sales, increasing response. And what we understand is that if brands are more effective reaching audiences, the brand becomes bigger. It's kind of a virtual circle. So we see it as one connected solution, and we'd never believe anybody that says, I want to do a branding campaign. It doesn't matter about sales. It always does. So, we see that as kind of our key focus. It's not just to sell good media. It's about trying to understand with you what the KPIs are, what you're trying to achieve. In terms of targeting, which we talked about a little already, our addressable platform is called AdSmart. It's been around for over 10 years now. There's a few entrants that came into the market last year who just don't have the same ability to do addressable TV as we do. Once you've got a box in the room, whether it's a Sky box or a Virgin box, because we represent Virgin, we can serve the best of TV. We can deliver on big screens, full sound, proper TV, advertising around proper content. But it's dovetailed with being the best of digital. Because it's on TV, it does gain high response. We have the ability to do a really detailed level of targeting to the audiences you want. And we obviously, as a business, we are delivering impressions, potentially one at a time. So we are seen as a digital proposition along the lines of YouTube, Google and Facebook. The thing is, we don't have cookies in our system on TV. We're delivering households that we know a lot about, and they can be targeted in a way that other digital platforms have become more restricted in the last year. So in essence, AdSmart works like this. You've got two households. They're both watching the same program. In this instance, The Last of Us, big award-winning program from Sky last year. Those households are maybe next door to each other. They may be the other end of the country. What ordinarily happens when you go into the ad break, on the left-hand side, everybody sees the same McDonald's ad, or whichever ad is buying a national campaign on linear TV. What we have the ability to do, if the household on the right-hand side is your target audience, is to deliver your client ad, your ad. They don't know any different. We're effectively superimposing one ad over another. It has to be the same time then, ideally a 20-second or a 30-second ad. But the fact is the audience don't know any different other than the fact that it's more relevant. And if it's more relevant, they're more likely to respond. Kind of quite clever, really. In terms of TV, if they're watching on TV, it is the most premium content. But if they're watching content online, on their iPads, on their travels, it's still trusted premium content. It's the same content, however they're watching it, wherever they're watching it. And what we know is that certainly TV and that style of content is 5 times more trusted than social media advertising. Okay? It does drive brands and it does drive response. We've worked with over 4,000 advertisers in 10 years. 75% of those advertisers have returned, and a lot of those are fairly new. We were over 300 brands new to TV last year. And at the moment, we're introducing 2 new brands to television every weekday, which is phenomenal. A lot of those clients who worked with us last year or earlier this year haven't had a chance yet to come back because they may be seasonal, or they're still trying to understand exactly how it worked for them. The great thing is there's a huge amount of repeat. And also, this is for every advertiser. It's not just for niche advertisers, small advertisers, new advertisers. 70% or 75% of the top 100 advertisers in the UK also use AdSmart because they're able to pick off a light viewing audience, which you just perhaps don't get on linear TV anymore. What we did from the outset was to raise the bar in terms of viewability. So when you're served an impression on AdSmart, on TV, on live TV or recorded TV, unless you see 75% of the ad, it doesn't count. It's not about 3 seconds in, you pay, but still 85% of the audience skip to watch the YouTube content. This is about delivering you the full, nearly the full message, at least the majority of the full message. So if somebody's halfway through an ad and they fast forward, it doesn't count. We don't charge you. So the viewability is really high. And in terms of video on demand and digital, unless we deliver 100% of the ad before the content, we don't charge. So that's the reason why the response rates are a lot higher than you're used to expecting on digital. So as I say, 4,000 advertisers, 30,000 campaigns, 2 new advertisers per day. And we've got clients who are very happy to kind of talk about their case studies. A good example here is Home Fire. They started advertising with us 2 years ago. Their business was worth 200 grand. Most of the change in the last 2 years of what they've done in their marketing is to use AdSmart to target specific households, and their business is now worth £10 million. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen to every brand, but there's some great case studies across all sorts of different sectors, and I know that Lee is going to show one that we worked together on later on as a great case study. So we can deliver live TV, we can deliver on demand, and we can deliver digital. What we're trying to do is to simplify things for our viewers, for our customers, and for yourselves, is to deliver an option to buy the right audience across all platforms, to optimize the reach, to simplify the buying, and to report across all platforms, so you can see how much reach, how much impact did AdSmart have, how much on top of that did VOD ad, how much on top of that did digital ad. So you can see, depending on your audience, how much incremental value there was from each platform you use. It only works because we've got huge scale. So we've got over 10 million people who we can serve AdSmart ads to on TV. Beyond that, we can serve digital ads to literally anybody in the country who chooses to watch Sky content through a YouTube channel, through our websites or our apps, because you don't have to be a subscriber to see our digital content. I've talked about content. I've talked about technology in terms of the set-top box that enables us in the room to serve an ad specifically to that household. Now I should talk to you a little more about data, because this is kind of what differentiates us. What makes us unique is we've got now nearly 3,000 attributes that you can use to target audiences socio-demographically. That might be, you've got a financial focus, you might be targeting households with pets, you might be targeting people who are seeking adoption or might be ready for considering adoption. We've got our own data, which is all about the households that we know that are paying us, that have been through a credit check, and we know what they watch. But beyond that, we work with Experian, which is the biggest kind of data provider that most clients use, where they've got 550 pieces of data about every household in the country. Every household fits into one of 65 types, and there are about 15 groups that those types fit into. So we can be very specific about how we build an audience, and it suggests to us this is the best type or group to target. But beyond that, we work with Acorn for CACI, so that's a similar thing to Experian, if that's what you use as a business. We work with Tesco's and Sainsbury's through dunnhumby and Nectar to target specific products that are competitive, that are sold on the same shelf via the loyalty card holders. So we match the loyalty card holders that they have to the relevant stores that your product is distributed in, and then we can target them, the audiences that we know we can serve AdSmart ads to. And then at the end of the campaign, give you a great report showing how you've changed somebody's consumption and behaviour in terms of purchasing products. We work with Companies House, so we can target business owners. So don't think about this as being B2C. This is a B2B proposition as well. Business owners still go home, watch telly, still sit on the train and watch content. It's our ability is to pretty much target any household, any audience that you want to reach. If you're in the home buying or home sales path journey, then we use 20CI to target people pre or post moving house as well. So there's some real obvious areas where we can resonate with lots of different clients. One of the new targeting behaviours is through search. So we work with Captify since the middle of last year. They know the in-market audience who've perhaps gone to Google, had a look to search male clothing, have ended up on the next website, and once they've gone to a website and they're actually obviously in market, then they can share with us the data of households that they know are in market, and then we can target those households. So you've got a myriad of kind of search behavior targeting that you can use to target. So think about it as digital, just happens to be on telly. And that really complements any other campaigns that you've got. We've got the ability to target people who are passionate about sport. Sky's the number one platform for sport in the UK. But we can target households who are massively into golf, having seen the Masters last weekend, or we can target people who you think are your target audience, even if they're watching Stranger Things on Netflix. We can see what people are watching through the Sky set-top box and target them in other programming that they happen to watch. So it doesn't matter whether they're watching the program you know that they watch. We know they're watching it, and we can deliver it knowing it's the right audience. So there's a myriad of ways, and I think probably the best thing to do is have a conversation with us to try and identify the audience you want to target. Excuse me. Once you've done that, we can then overlay that with a specific geographical targeting, whether you want to select a whole TV region or a number of postcodes or postcode sectors or a radius from a store or a block around a certain location. So it may be 5 miles drive time, 5 miles radius, it may be 30-minute drive time. And we can combine all of those. If you've got 20 stores across the whole of the southeast, we can put a ring around those, add the social demographics, and if there's any overlap, we can dedupe it. So you're not just targeting the same audience twice for the sake of it, just because they're in two of the radius. So it's really clever. We can really bring it down to potentially targeting on TV from £3,000 upwards, which is probably not where you would expect to be able to get onto TV. That will buy you the ability to target around about 12 to 14,000 households with a campaign across 6 weeks. And the important thing is to have the knowledge that we will deliver a level of frequency that we believe is impactful. So generally, we'd say the level of frequency you need for a TV campaign is somewhere between 7 and 9 times. Any less than 6 times, you probably can serve more ads and get more response. Any more than 9 or 10 times, you potentially could use the impressions to target other households. So, we've got lots of experience at this about helping new advertisers and big advertisers and old advertisers use TV. But in terms of the new advertisers on TV, that's quite a fussy slide. It really does make a difference to your business. If you've got competitors who aren't doing this, it sets you apart. If you've got competitors who are already doing it, you need to do it, and you need to do it smarter than they are. And that's what our job is, to try and help you do that. So that you as a new brand to telly, you can get a higher level of appeal, a higher level of response. And as everybody knows, and the survey said to us when we did this, targeting under 35s, TV is still by far and away the most trusted platform from any advertising. So well worth considering. I've mentioned video on demand as well, because AdSmart was formerly built on being able to target the live and the recorded TV programming. But to deliver video on demand, that audience is going up. Those that watch more TV watch less video on demand. Those that watch less TV watch more video on demand, because they're choosing the programs that they want to watch. Maybe the box set of House of the Dragon when it comes out on the 16th of June, they'll want to watch all of them back to back in one evening or 2 evenings. So that's not a problem. We can still deliver that audience. We see the video on demand area as being one kind of fairly big catch-all segment of media. You've got more options now than you ever had before. And there's a lot of talk about connected TV and fast TV. I think there's a potential confusion. We see this. We're a player in all of those markets as Sky. They're all the same thing. It's about delivering an audience to people who have chosen to watch the programs they want to watch on whatever device they want to watch it. It's video on demand, whether it's pay TV, different devices, connected TV, apps or whatever. Don't think that connected TV replaces normal TV. Most of the time it's programs that have been out for 10 years, they've been repeated, it's not high value, they don't have the ability to do the addressability that I just talked about, whereas we do, but we kind of bundle it all in together as video on demand. And we know that people are turning to watching programming like that. Our year-on-year viewing increase was 26%, and nearly 50% of adults can be reached every month through Sky's video on demand services. And it's more consistent than our competitors. We purposely deliver great box sets at multiple points across the year to reach as many genre and audiences as possible, but to maintain an audience across the year. As you can see, ITV is great when Love Island's on from VOD, but they don't have a huge amount of other programming that brings in the same sort of audience, not the audience size that you're looking for on a relevant monthly basis. And we know that video on demand has high recall because people have specifically chosen the programs. So if we are delivering the right ads to them, as Matt said earlier, they're more likely to respond. It's relevant. So 44% more increase in ad recall, higher level of return on investment, and 2 times the response that you would expect normally. But people are still watching on big TVs, full sound. 90% of video on demand is watched on TV, on TVs. In a room probably with other people, shared viewing, which is great because that's how people are being entertained. And if they're watching content in the digital arena when they're out and about with their digital devices, we've still got huge scale. We deliver broadcast quality content. Maybe it's short form, maybe it's a minute and a half or 2 minutes of the interviews from last night's match rather than the whole programme. But that's what people are wanting to drop in and watch online. And of course, because they're online, it is clickable. So the people do take action. So what we've seen, where we've delivered our addressable product across the 10 years, we're delivering it across platform now. We're calling it one campaign because you buy one campaign from us. And what we know in the digital space, for 16 to 34s as a good example, we can deliver up to 17% more reach than you would get if you were just buying a TV and a video on demand campaign. So this is about the ability to reach all the audience whenever you can, when you want to. But as I said earlier, insight and measurement's really important. There's no point doing all of this if you can't evidence that it worked. What we know is that TV makes a massive difference. Again, a slightly fussy slide here, but TV makes up to 54% more effectiveness for the other platforms when it's on. Okay, so we don't, every time we talk to a client who's by nature, they've done digital advertising to start with, whenever the TV campaign starts, they always come back and say, oh, TV's working great, I can see the effect, but all my digital activity is working better as well. All my door drops are working better because they're seeing an ad on TV, they trust it, they get the story, they see the picture, they see the branding, and then they see it in another platform as well. So it's about that multiplier effect in the media choice that you make. And we've got a number of ways of how we can help you understand how the media worked. There's brand evaluations where we can assess how the message is getting through, versus the audience that have or haven't seen the ad, how that's changed their perception and their recall and their response. We've got the ability, if your business is a call to action through the web, the ability to give you some tags to put onto relevant pages of your website. And then we recognise the households that have ended up on your website that we know have seen the ad. And do they go a different customer journey versus people that haven't seen the ad? Quite often the answer is yes. They convert quicker, they maybe convert a higher rate or a higher level of volume. So we call that web attribution, which is a great thing to be able to do. Because the question that was always asked to us 5 years ago before we did this was, I can see how you're targeting the audiences, I can see that's really clever, but how do I attribute that it's worked? Well, now we've got that kind of tool that can help us do that. And if call to action isn't your thing, we can ingest under data share agreement your new customers from the start of the campaign up to a month, 3 months, 6 months after the campaign, because people make decisions over a period of time. And we can track that back to the households we know saw the advertising and tick the box and say they saw the ad, they became a customer. That's quite compelling. And of course, as any digital business, we deliver a huge amount of information in terms of the reach and the audience, and we also can profile. If you've got a web tag on your website, not only can we recognise the households that have seen the ad and ended up there, but we can also profile everybody that's on the website to suggest that maybe there are other audiences that you might choose to target next time. So it's about giving you a bespoke evaluation package. What we know, and we've got loads of case studies across most sectors, just a few here, in unaided recall in automotive, 16% increase in recall, FMCG 42%, finance, household furniture, and the list goes on. So there's some really great case studies, some of which are video testimonials, one of which you'll see later. So I've gone through quite a few slides there. You've been very attentive. That's the power of TV enhanced. I don't know if anybody wants to ask any questions now at all. I've answered everything you ever wanted to know. Good. Okay, well, I'll pass on to Lee. Thank you.
My name is Lee Climpson. I am Production Director at Transmission, and I'm going to talk to you today about your creative, what you say and how you say it, and specifically how you package that up into a powerful brand response TV advertising campaign. But what on earth is brand response? Well, for you that haven't heard of this phrase before, in a nutshell, it's not just TV advertising, it's work harder TV advertising. Ultimately, it's TV advertising that's extremely in tune with both your brand and your target audience. We have 6 key pillars that we work to when we're creating a brand response TV advertising campaign. Firstly, grab attention quickly. You have a short amount of time to grab the viewer's attention and communicate your message. We use creative and attention-grabbing visuals, music and copy to stand out. And we've done this with countless brands, including Omaze, Villa Plus, Kent Road Safety, Bridgman Furniture, and many others. Focus on the benefits. It's a very important element. Within a brand response campaign, we place a real emphasis on communicating the benefits of your product or your service to the viewer. We explain how it solves a problem or meets a need, and crucially, we highlight the features that set your product apart from your competitors. We use testimonials and social proof, so personal recommendation is the most powerful form of advertising. And with TV or video campaigns, we can harness the power of testimonials or social proof, such as ratings or reviews, to reinforce your benefits. People are more likely to trust your brand if they see others have had success with it. Be consistent with your branding. Your brand's message, your logo, and your overall visual style should be consistent across all your advertising channels, including TV. It all comes back to what Matt was saying earlier about the customer journey. Wherever that customer sees your brand as they move through their journey to purchase, it's really vital that they see a consistent brand look and feel from you. This builds brand recognition and trust with the viewer. We also include a clear call to action. This needs to be concise and single-minded, whether it's to visit a website, go in store, visit a location, or even scan a QR code. We need to make sure the call to action is prominent and easy to follow and focused. That's really critical. We need to give them one single clear route to respond. There's an old adage that if I throw you one ball, you'll catch it. If I throw you 3 balls, you'll drop them all. And the same applies to TV advertising, messaging, and your call to action. And monitor and analyze results. It's really important that you track the effectiveness of your campaign, whether it's tools like call tracking, web analytics and surveys to monitor response rates and customer feedback. Knowing what's working well and what could be working better is all part of understanding and improving your response. Of course, this is especially effective with the use of Sky AdSmart because you get unparalleled access to data, and you can use this data to refine and improve. TV advertising is about presenting your brand values in a direct way, but this needs to be done in a way that is relevant to your brand and what your audience is looking for. So with that in mind, there's one important thing that we always aim to achieve. Get noticed for the right reasons. You don't have to be something you're not in order to stand out. As an example, ever turned up to a party dressed as a giant chicken when everyone else is wearing black tie? No? Just me? Well, let us tell you, you'll get noticed, but for all the wrong reasons. Creating a successful brand response TV advertising campaign involves careful planning and execution. Overall, it's important that you're creating the brand that is most relevant and appealing to your audience. Be the brand that you and your audience want you to be. And if your creative approach doesn't connect with your audience, if you're just dressed as a big chicken in a room full of black tie, you run the risk of alienating the people that you're trying to impress. So the main takeaway is you don't have to be a giant chicken. Get your creative right the first time. Just going to go on to this video now from just one of our clients that has had a huge amount of success with Sky AdSmart, coupled with targeted brand response TV advertising from Transmission. So sit back, enjoy this case study from Karen Grant, brand manager at Bridgman Furniture.
I'm Karen, brand manager for Bridgman Luxury Home and Garden Furniture. The reason we chose AdSmart was because we wanted to drive footfall into our 7 Bridgman showrooms and try and increase Bridgman brand awareness. Being a small family business, we were able to utilise the power of TV and see ourselves in programming that we never thought was possible. We needed to personalise the commercial for each of the 7 showrooms and find a way of reporting for each of them. The AdSmart process was great. By targeting the audience, we minimised wastage and got the most cost-effective campaign possible. We're currently in the middle of our second campaign using AdSmart. The first one worked really well. We targeted our audience. We got a great return on investment, over £100,000 of incremental sales, and increased our brand awareness. The TV company recommended by Sky was a company called Transmission. Transmission guided us through our first TV campaign by being there every step of the way. The benefits of keeping it all under one roof were that they could see everything through from start to finish, from conception to delivery. We only had a small production budget, but the end result was amazing. Their scope of work shows that they are great on working on high-end campaigns down to quirky content and work from concept to delivery. The great thing about AdSmart is that the sales are trackable through web attribution. We were able to plan the AdSmart campaign using postcode data. We cross-referenced our Acorn data with Sky data to get the best possible audience. For those of you that think that TV is out of your reach, working with Sky AdSmart makes it affordable, cost-effective and trackable. They're an approachable bunch of people, and whatever your brief is, you're in safe hands.
Okay, here we go. So yes, maybe you've got some questions already. If there's anything burning, but maybe I'll kick it off and then it will start the process and you guys might feel brave enough to put your hands up and ask questions. Don't be shy. Honestly, this is your time to ask questions and learn anything you can. I'll open up, I suppose, what impact do we think AI has had at the moment on TV and video production? Lee, we'll start with you.
Yeah, well, I mean, is that working?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. AI is a lot of people sort of look upon AI as a big sort of scary thing that's going to take all our jobs and make us all redundant. But actually, it's a really powerful tool in filmmaking already. And also, I think there's a real need in the future. I don't think we're ever going to be put out of jobs because of AI, because I think ultimately there's always going to be that human aspect to TV advertising and to video production. People want to see people. People want to buy from people, and people want to see real world environments. So if we're showing people on screen, you don't really want them to be artificial. I think there's a real benefit in keeping it real.
Yeah, totally agree. I think there's so many positives with it. It just outweighs. Steve, what's your feeling on it?
I think there's an HI is really important within it. Human intelligence. Yeah. It's only capable of doing what is there already, and the human still needs to work behind it. It might have to be flexible and change how you work, but to access what is effectively the internet on speed, it's an amazing tool, but it still needs humans to think, how do I use this to the best of its capability? So yeah, I think that's my view.
Yeah, Matt?
Yeah, I think it's creating a lot of efficiencies within the production process, which kind of frees up a lot of opportunities for increasing relevancy within your campaign, particularly around more dynamic creative. So, for example, particularly with the AdSmart platform, if you've got your message might be better said in a slightly different way to a slightly different audience. If there are efficiencies within the production process, that might make that more of a cost-effective option, whereas previously I don't have the budget to shoot 3 versions of my ad. But if AI can enhance the post-production process and lower those costs, it makes it that you can be more relevant with exactly the same budget and reaching exactly the same audience. But you're able to use AI to make things a bit more cost-effective, as Steve said, not replacing the human intelligence factor, but using it to make sure we're bringing down those budgets to enhance those opportunities and get those while they're there.
I did use the version that LinkedIn provide and changed my LinkedIn profile by AI, and I'm a lot more impressive now than I was before.
That's impossible. Questions, please. Do raise your hands. Yes.
Thank you very much. It was super interesting. So we work for a charity, and we are just about to launch into our first DRTV. I just wondered if you've got good examples of where it's worked for a charity and any advice for us. We're just off to do filming in 2 weeks, so anything that we should have top of mind for that filming.
Yeah, Lee, do you want to? Oh, Matt, please. Yeah.
I was just going to say, yes, we've done work with a few charities over the years, and charities more so than most. It's all about getting the most you can out of that budget. And one thing we do as a production company is making sure we're looking at the whole journey when we're shooting. So rather than just shooting a TV commercial, we will shoot a load of assets. So we'll shoot a load of assets, and it can be as simple as just making sure there's a 9:16 guide on the monitor, so then you can see, okay, well, that I can potentially use on my Instagram stories. It's a little thing, doesn't cost you anything to ask to put that on the monitor, but it just gives you an idea of, well, even though we're shooting a TV campaign, I can use these assets everywhere. So let's I would say approach it with that in mind of how can I use this content across all channels, not just where I've allocated budget to create a TV commercial, because you'll get more money, more bang for your buck by using it across multiple channels.
Yeah, it's great advice. Steve?
Yeah, so interesting sector. We work with about 20, 25 brands in the charity sector, but obviously, so it is quite a competitive sector. That's brands of all sizes and shapes. Some are more strategic in terms of how they think about their branding as well as response. Others are purely response because I've got a message I need to get out there now. We've got video testimonial case studies from some. We've got loads of other case studies. I think call to action, obviously, as these guys will say, is really important. But it's about targeting the right audiences. So there's one specific charity we work with who has to remain nameless, but we've got a lot of research. We've done a lot of research with them, and we've helped them understand how there is a difference in the audience that is somebody that responds to the ad rather than somebody that becomes a donator on a subscription level. So, happy to have a conversation there outside of the room, yeah.
Thanks, Steve. Lee, what's your thoughts on?
Yeah, so we launched Omaze in the UK back in 2020. Been working with Omaze for the last 4 years. A big charity, hero sort of brand. We work with a whole range of charities as part of that Omaze campaign, and it's really about focusing on the human stories. It again, kind of comes back to what I was saying about AI not being able to replace that. Focusing on those stories, the reasons why these charities exist, and just really getting across that message really clearly about the benefit of getting involved with that charity, what that is then going to result in, the benefits that's going to make in the world, and just using that as the kind of the core message.
Mm-hmm. Just before I open up to another question as well, I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway because it's my job today. Say someone's got an idea for a TV advert, they might want to do it socially, they might want to do it bigger, going on to TV advert. What's the approach? How, as Transmission, would you take that on board? What should they bring to you? It's questions like that. Lee, let's start with you.
Yeah, it's really about the briefing process is the crucial part of that process. That is the point at which we take a deep dive into what the client has, the issues the client has, any sort of pain points, what are the KPIs, what are they looking to achieve, really get under the bonnet of the brand and develop a really in-depth, deep understanding of what that client is looking to achieve. And then it's only from there that we can really build the creative. If we don't have that, if there's any sort of element of that that's missing, that's where things fall down. So it's a real cathartic process for the client and for us to get together and really unpack what that is, and from there we can really efficiently plan out the campaign, both from a strategic point of view that Mac was talking about, looking at the various types of content, but also looking at it from a creative messaging point of view as well. Just really ensure that we are getting the message right and delivering on what the client is looking to achieve.
And should they come, Matt, with a budget in mind? Should they come open-minded about something like that? What's the best way, again, to approach that from a client perspective?
From a client perspective, if you've got a budget in mind, that's obviously not something you've just plucked out of the air. It's often come from how much you want to invest in a particular product. So I wouldn't say, come with no budget. I think it's a case of if we understand what the business goal is and the broader context, it gives us the ability to be able to advise you properly, because that's ultimately what me and my team are here for, from a production perspective, and what Steve and Steve's team are here from a media perspective. If we understand what that business challenge is, what do you want to answer by running that particular, if you've got a particular idea for your ad, what is that what is the problem that is solving, then we can help leverage our experience and our expertise to make sure that you're doing that in the right and the most cost effective way, and the way that's going to give you the most response. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, we want to make good advertising for you which performs well, which makes, as as the example with Karen, it works really well, so you come back and spend again. That's the best the best kind of advocacy that I can have is those clients that come back and go, yeah, that really worked, thank you very much, and now we're going to do it again because it's worked for us. It's always continuously giving us that return on investment.
Yeah, just to add to that, we work a lot of the time with advertisers that are new to TV, and they might not know how much they should allocate for their budget for the production of a TV commercial. So it's as a production company, we very much handle that full production process, including all the creative side of things, right through to delivery to stations, and that enables us to put together a range of budgetary options for you. So we can show you what's the kind of entry level, what's the sort of medium budget band, what's the sort of the top tier budget option, and that then gives you an ability to see what can be done for different levels of investment and make a decision accordingly.
Yes.
And do you work exclusively in conjunction with Sky? So any content that you produce is only used on Sky platforms?
No, we are an independent production company, but we do work very closely with the guys at Sky. But we work with all, and we will deliver to any TV channel. Yeah.
Yeah, we work closely with quite a few partners, Sky being one of them. But we'll work with a lot of PR agencies if we're doing events and things like that to make sure we're delivering the content to the right consumer at the right time. So, as I mentioned earlier, if it's a case of we're creating that content for a TV commercial which might be running on Sky, we'll also look at how we can create content with the same crew at the same time to potentially create a version for TikTok or potentially completely different content, potentially shot at the same time for a new radio campaign, for example.
Do you see the requirements for an smart ad differently than to a traditional TV commercial?
I wouldn't say the requirements are different. I'd say the opportunity is different. So we can be more relevant and more targeted in what we want to do, particularly around the messaging. So, for example, we might be looking at using Bridgman as an example, someone with a certain income, someone in a certain area within a certain drive of their showrooms. Whereas if we're advertising on a more broad spectrum, we might not be able to be as targeted as that. So, for example, with a regional version, we might say, "Oh, we're only 10 minutes away," or "Why don't you pop down tomorrow?" Whereas if it's a national ad, it might be more of the messaging itself needs to be more generic.
Yeah, I think that's really important actually, because there are clients that we work with who target only people that they know are customers of theirs already. So they've shared with us their data. We then match that against the households we can deliver the advertising to. They can then run an ad that said, "Hello, customer, you're moving house. When you get there, how about buying another boiler from us because you probably want to upgrade the old boiler that's in the house?" That kind of example. But they might, as a brand, also have a different ad that looks and feels the same with a different message or different wording on it that says to an audience that is a lookalike, because we can profile the audience of their customers, exclude the customers, and just target lookalikes. They're new customers potentially. They might offer them a 10% discount. So a very different message in the copy, but still the same brand, still the same kind of video that sits behind it. So from these guys' point of view, it's about, I think it's really exciting for the creatives is to be able to tell a story, tell it to different people, tell it to customers and non-customers, be more local. You can have a different accent. I mean, that's really straightforward. Have a different accent if you're advertising in Scotland versus England and specifically targeting a region. And plenty of car dealers only want to target the people who live in their district. People who run franchises can't step over a specific line because that's their contract is to advertise to here and somebody else advertises the other side of that line. We've got the capability to do that, and you can change the messaging on the creative. But I'd always say, if you're new to TV and you go to a creative business, you will have a comment on this, I'm sure, is make it a very simple brief. Don't tell them what you want, because the whole nature of being creative is to find a solution for what will work. But do tell them what you don't want, because then you won't get something back that you don't want. Would that make sense?
Completely agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, very true. We're very creative, and that's what we do at Transmission. It's like we love coming up with the ideas for you. So it's very important that you do come with a brief and an idea, but let us also run with it sometimes, or let the company run with it. What's the difference, I suppose, between consumers when you're targeting, and this is for both Transmission and for you, Steve, as well at Sky, business owners and consumers? What are you actually looking for? How do you do it? How do you target the difference between the business owners and consumers?
Okay, so I'm sitting on the platform here with a creative agency we work with a lot. We work with other creative agencies as well, one of which advertised on TV with us, and they only wanted to reach people who are business owners, and they started the ad by saying, "Hello, Mr. Business Owner." Now, how much impact does that have? You're a business owner in the room, you're watching the programme you selected to watch, and the ad is talking directly to you. No wastage, because we know the people in the household are business owners. No, not at all. No, it was collective people in household where there's a business owner, if not more, in the household. So, business owners still watch TV, as I said. So we'd use Companies House or Experian to drill down to the level of size of business, what level they are within the business, what type of business it is. There's loads of different ways that, from a granular point of view, we can hone in on the right audience and then target them through TV and digital. So they're getting that message over. And when we do it with B2C, we've just got even more access to more data partners, whether it's people using MasterCard or dunnhumby or Experian types. There's Experian financial sector, and there's Experian Mosaic, more about people's lifestyle. But yeah, there's a long list. So it's really important to know your audience and then let us help you find them and deliver the advertising.
Lee, same for you, and Matt, production side, are you thinking about the same thing when a brief comes to you in terms of who you're targeting and what you want to do with that message as well?
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, I'm not a salmon, so the more I understand about the business owner, what their motivations are, what their goals are, and what sort of frame of mind they're in, it helps create that relevancy within the message.
Yes, please, sir.
Context for this is that we work in local government, so very stretched budgets. But I guess for both Transmission and for Sky, what's if we're talking creating something from scratch, research and development, and then out to market, what's the minimum budget you should be thinking about for doing that? And I guess if for Sky, I guess you maybe say you've already got creative, but you just want to buy media. Again, what's the kind of? And it's hard to know with not having an audience in mind necessarily, but like, what wouldn't you get out of bed for?
Good question, Lee. What wouldn't you get out of bed for?
I wouldn't particularly put a figure on it, because it ultimately is scalable depending on what it is that you need, and there really isn't kind of there isn't a minimum figure, because we can always do something. There's always some things that's able to be done. So we're very much about empowering you guys to get on TV. So we want to help you to do that. So we'll always work with you to give you budgetary options, as I said earlier, so we can show you what is that entry level based upon your brief. What is it that we can do at the lowest possible cost to get you on TV, and obviously we can show you other options as well. But that doesn't quite answer your question, but
I appreciate you trying.
Yeah, it's tricky because it really is how long is a piece of string, and it's also how short is a piece of string. It really does, depending on what it is you're looking to achieve.
Steve?
From a media point of view, the entry point to use AdSmart is $3,000. Okay, and as I said earlier, that will get you a campaign that would target around about 12 to 14,000 households, 7 or 8 times across a 6-week period. Okay, that might be a microcosm for an example of what you could do to trial it, and we'd always suggest test and learn what you can with the budget that you can afford. So we might size your audience to start with, and it may be that it could cost £200,000. And we've got clients that spend £3,000 with us. We've got clients that spend £500,000, and everything in between. Okay, but for those that are starting out, it's pick a budget level that is relevant, and we'll find a relevant audience to target. And if that's a percentage of it, maybe it's 10% of the total, that's a good place to start, because when you see that works, you can scale up afterwards and target the rest of the audience that we've defined is the one you want to reach. I guess I can be a bit more candid in terms of last year. Out of the 323 advertisers that spent for the first time with us on TV, their average budget was between 8 and 12 grand for media, and in terms of creative, they were spending on average between 1.5 and 2.5 grand. Now that might be an entry point that these guys are going to go, but I think there's always something that you can do to start, test, learn, and then improve. And I think that's really the message. Don't be afraid of it. This is a lot more accessible than you ever thought, probably.
Yeah, that's a good point. And just to sort of add on to that as well, echoing what you were saying there, Steve, that we can show you what is possible for different budget bands as well, based upon previous clients that we've worked with. So we can show you this is what we can do for 5k to 10k. This is what we can do for 20k to this is what we can do for 100k plus. So that should hopefully give you an example, for what's possible. And happy to provide that with you afterwards.
Yeah.
I would just say, just to add on to that, when we can catch up afterwards, there's a few case studies where that we've got where we've worked with clients that have got smaller budgets. So as Steve said, anything from a couple of grand right up to 100,000, 200,000 pound productions. But I think what's potentially usable is a case study with a client called Kumon, who we've been working with for nearly 15, 16 years now. They came to us with a budget for their TV commercial, and going back to what I mentioned earlier about the opportunity is bigger than that. We ended up talking to them about increasing their budget to produce their TV commercial, shoot that one TV commercial, but they ended up with enough content to make TV ads for the next 5 years and fuel their social, completely rebuild their website. So it's a case of kind of looking at the opportunity, and maybe a little increase in budget actually gave them more over time. So their cost per ad was actually quite low. But I can take you through that in a bit more detail if needs be.
That's amazing. Any more questions? Yes, please.
Any examples or case studies of where companies might have had like a B2B and a B2C advert?
Yeah, definitely. Kumon being a good example of that, and there's others as well. We advertise with Mathnasium on Sky AdSmart, where they have two audiences. So they're looking for franchisees, for example, to bolster that side of it and a B2B message, but they're also looking to attract students, running those two messages side by side. And to come back to your comment earlier about the B2B targeting, we can be targeted enough to make sure that we're not cannibalizing each. There is obviously going to be a bit of crossover with what typically that with Mathnasium, the kind of person they're looking for is also the parent of the child that they're kind of looking for to attract as a customer. So both messages are relevant for that audience. So they are both served. But yeah, there is definitely the room to target within and create assets and commercials to target both of those audiences and run them concurrently.
And from a media point of view, we just set them up as separate campaigns and report them separately as well. So there are, I know across many different sectors, but maybe in the kind of crowdfunding sector, where you've got businesses there that are looking for businesses that want to raise capital. They have a campaign where they're targeting high-end net worths, business owners, people who've got a bit of cash, and are used to investing in things outside of the usual ISAs and pensions. And then on the flip side, once they've got those clients, then they target people that they know are more likely to become people who would invest in the new business. So there's loads of examples like that, but they're very much different campaigns because we identify a different audience.
I'd just like to thank our amazing panel. We've got Matt Buckle, Steve Wild and Lee Climpson. Thank you so much, everyone. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.